Okay, after determining a website type, the next step is to determine its credibility level. We've created a website credibility checklist tool. You can access this by going to Courses, Kelsey's 7th Grade Internet. Once you open it up here, you'll see that it is broken down into 4 different factors. When you're looking at a website, you either are going to give it a point or not give it a point, depending on whether it meets each of the criteria underneath the factor. Factor 1 is determining its purpose. If you're looking at a website, is most of the information on that website relevant to the topic you're looking up, or is the website very random and it's not very specific? If it's not very specific, you're not going to give it that point. If it is, give it at that point. Does it appear to be biased? If it's an advocacy website, it's more than likely going to be biased one way or another. If you know of a bias, then it will not get that credibility level. Type of website, is it a business, news, or informational? If it is one of those 3 types of websites, it's going to get this point. If it's one of the other 2, a personal or a advocacy, then it does not get that point. Taking a look at authority, this is where you need to now search around a little bit and start looking for links that say about us or background or about the author, and you want to see, is information about who has created the website clearly listed. Many websites do not list this information very well, and they will not get this point. But if it is listed, it's not usually on the front page. You usually have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and look for links along these lines. The authors, if they do list themselves, do they provide credentials? So if they say that, this website is created by Joe Bob, does Joe Bob tell you that he has a master's in history or science or whatever his particular background is, to prove that he has some sort of background that would make him a reliable writer for the background or for the website? Detailed contact information, is there a phone number or an address, or is it just an email? If they're not willing to give out other information, it may or may not be legitimate. So it does may or may not get that credibility factor point. And then the domain extension, it just gets an extra point if it's a .org, .edu, .gov, or .mil, just simply because those are government or non-for-profit organizations, and they tend to be held to a little bit higher standard for many of their facts. The reliability level, are there footnotes or bibliographies? If you'll notice, Wikipedia actually does have footnotes at the bottom of many of its entries. So despite what many teachers will say about Wikipedia, it does get this point because it includes footnotes at the bottom of a lot of its entries. There are also links to credible resources. So if there is a web page, for example, about the Civil War, and that web page has links to other websites related to the Civil War, it would get this link. If it's just out on its own and it has no other links, it doesn't get that point. And then looking for grammar, punctuation, spelling errors, that's a good sign that it's done by somebody who may not be an expert if they are unable to spell their website correctly. And then look at the timeliness. Does it show a revision or a copyright date? A lot of times this will only show up as a copyright date, so it'll just be a year. And do you want it to be within the last year? So if it shows a revision date, it gets a point. And then if that revision date is within the last year, it gets another point. The idea here is to add up all of these points, and it gives you a reliability scale here. Now, once you've kind of familiarized yourself with how this scale works, it's a little bit complicated, but you can kind of work through a website with it. I want you to go ahead and open the actual assignments, the Citing and Evaluating Websites worksheet, also under Courses, Kelsey Internet. And you are just going to do 3 web pages. Now, these web pages are going to be used for next week's assignment, so it's useful to you to have done these. And I want you to find the credibility level. So run yourself through this credibility checklist and give it a score here. Tell me what type of website it is, and then also try to find the works cited information, the author, the title, supporting organization, the web address. The date retrieved is today's date.